Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and before we get started, I just want to thank MTG Stocks for allowing us to use graphical information for the purposes of this video. Okay, so Throne of Eldraine. Well, I hope you guys are all getting your fill of Throne of Eldraine. Maybe you had a chance to participate in some draft weekend events this weekend. I did. I think, as I've been saying in all my videos, this set is absolutely fantastic, but let's have a look at some of the finance surrounding Throne of Eldraine. So, as usual with the new set, the prices are up and down, mostly down, now that we're getting a lot of product opened. But there's some really weird oddities that I haven't seen with other sets that are kind of cropping up with this one, and mostly it's around stuff like borderless cards. So let's look at Oko here, for example. The price on the Oko borderless card, $65 and change. As we can see, it's, taken a nosedive, which is pretty much expected with all cards, 1 or 2 weeks after the set's opened. There's a lot of them hitting the marketplace, and I think people didn't realize how many of these borderlesses are going to be out there. You can find these in regular packs along with just the collector boosters, and, I'm sure they're going to be in the promo packs and things like that. So, there's a good quantity of them, probably more than, people expected to be in the marketplace. So it's a little bit understandable that the price is coming down now. Coming down from $250 to $65 is quite a significant drop, considering especially that the regular printing is, $35. This is a card that's going to get played. It's going to get played in Standard a lot, and probably, there'll be some decks it sneaks into in Modern and Commander, things like that. So there's definitely a demand for this card. So, seeing the borderless one at $65, I actually think is a reasonable buy. Conversely, let's have a look at a card like Castle Arden, for example. I do not understand what's going on with the pricing on this card. The borderless card is $90. This is not a card that's going to get played extensively. The pre-release foil is like $3.75. The regular version is $1. So, we have Oko, where the regular version is $35 and the borderless is $65. But we have Castle Ardenvale, where the regular version is $1 and, the borderless version's $90. If I own this card, I would be unloading it in a heartbeat for whatever I could get it for. I don't understand why it's sitting at 90. It has to come down from here. So there's some really funky stuff going on with Throne of Eldraine. Alright, let's have a look at some cards outside of Throne of Eldraine. And at the very top of that list is Paradoxical Outcome from Kaladesh. This is a rare that was sitting in the 50 to 75 cent range for most of its life. It was recently featured on a deck called Urza's Outcome. You can find that deck on Channel Fireball. It's a cool deck, but the reality is investing in Magic cards is about buying low, selling high, and doing that the best we can. And today this card is worth 8 times what it was 6 months ago. It's time to dig out your junk rare box from the Kaladesh era and unload these cards. And the next card on our list under the sell category for today is Dredd from Lorwyn. It's an interesting card. The graph on it is awesome. It's just been slowly sort of increasing in value. Had a little bit of a dip here. The reason for this is that, supplies are dry. It's had one printing, 6-7 years ago in Lorwyn. It's a card that gets played in Commander and, fringe decks. It's kind of a cool card. It's got cool abilities, but, the price is where it's at because there's no supply of this card. It's a prime target. This is the perfect kind of card that would get reprinted in some future Commander set. And regardless, if you had them, pick them up, in the $2 to $3 range over the last year and a half, you've more than doubled your money. These are the opportunities we look for as Magic the Gathering investors. And the last one I have for you today under the sell category is Veil of Summer from the recent core set 2020. $6 for an in-print uncommon. You can go buy packs of this today at your local game store, and to pull a $6 uncommon out of a pack that is just from a set from 2 months ago is just ridiculous. Don't get me wrong, this card is phenomenal. It's cropping up in sideboards and Modern all over the place. Just a great card. But I just don't understand, a $6 price tag on a card that there's probably, 500,000 copies of out there. So I mean, if you have more than your playset, more than you think you're going to need, I think selling it at $6 is a phenomenal deal. Alright, let's have a look at cards I'm investing in this week. And I'm going to lead off with Murderous Rider Swift End from Throne of Eldraine. I'm moving this card from sort of a hold watch position to an acquire / invest in position. And I'll tell you why. $11 is a good entry point from this. I mean, we're down a little bit from sort of highs in the $14 range. It's likely the card will drop another dollar or two from here as more of the sets gets opened over the next couple of weeks. But this is a good card. It's going to get played a lot in Standard, both in Knights, Tribal, and just sort of Standard decks that are running black in general. Let's compare it to what happened with Vraska's Contempt when that was in Standard. So as we can see with Vraska's Contempt, it came out swinging in the $10, $11 range when Ixalan was first released. Everybody thought, this is great removal, and the reality is it was. And as more and more of Ixalan got opened, it dropped into the $5, $6 range, and then Ixalan stopped getting opened, and it jumped back up to $15, $20, as a high. So, and it spent most of its life in Standard there. Because it was just a good, solid removal piece in Standard. And, Murderous Rider is no different. Like I said, it might drop another dollar or two, but picking it up at 11 is still a good deal. The card is going to be, live in the same range that Vraska's Contempt did, $15 to $20. Now, the only thing I will say with Murderous Rider is you're in the same situation. Now, Vraska's Contempt is like $1.75 because it's just not going to get played, anywhere else now that it's out of Standard. And Murderous Rider is going to be in the very sort of same situation. So if you're going to take an investment position in this card at the $11 range, you're going to want to make sure you kind of unload them a couple of months before it's going to rotate out of Standard. And that's sort of the line you'll have to sort of take with this card. Alright, the next card I have for your consideration is Scapeshift from Core Set 2019. At $15, this is a great investment. Now, we sort of missed the boat when it was back in Standard or just sort of got released and it was $7, $8. But $15 is still an excellent entry point at this card. I mean, just recently at $20. It's not going to go anywhere south from here. There's still quite a bit of gap between the Core Set 2019 version and the Morningtide version at $20. And the reality is Scapeshift's just a good card. It gets played in decks, both in Commander and Modern. It's a card when, before the reprint of Core Set 2020, we were talking the $50 range. And I think this card's going to get there again, given time. It's a good long-term investment. So, it's a great one to consider picking up. I'd also like you to consider Teferi Time Reveler from War of the Spark. We're coming up off the bottom of this card. I think in the $14 to $15 range was the lowest this card really is ever going to go. I mean, now we're sitting at $17.50. War of the Spark is not getting opened anymore now that, we've gone through Core Set 2020 and now Throne of Eldraine. So the reality is this is a good card. It gets played in, Modern, Standard, Commander, you name it. This is just a great card. And it is nothing but upside from here. So, I mean, there may be a small dip when, a year from now it rotates out of Standard. But given that, this is a card that's a $50 Planeswalker 2 to 5 years from now. Alright, and the last card I'd like you to consider for today is Splinter Twin. Had a Rise of Eldrazi printing and a Modern Masters printing. They're both valued around the same. And I know what you're thinking. Oh my god, Dave's on the unbanned Splinter Twin bandwagon. No, I'm not. But the reality is there is a very distinct possibility that this card could be unbanned in Modern. And at its height in Modern, it was a $28, $30 card. And in the event that it does get unbanned again, this card's going to be $50. I mean, people just don't have them in their collections anymore. And, there's going to be a lot of people that want to build this deck in the event that it does get unbanned. And even if it doesn't, I mean, this card bottomed out a long time ago in the, high 3s, low 4s range. And it's done nothing but climb since then. It's a good sort of long-term investment. It hasn't had any downsides since it bottomed out. And so it has a lot of potential upside. Yes, it is a bit of a speculative play, but of all the different speculative plays you can make, I think this one's relatively safe and has an amazing upside potential. Alright, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that like button, smash it if that's your thing, and if you're a subscriber, as always, I want to thank you for being here. If you're not, now's a great time to consider subscribing. We post at least 2 videos every week. Alright, bye for now.